I feel like our thumbnail is hiding Harold Ramis's face, and I almost feel bad. Did you notice that?
A little bit, yeah, a
A
little
little
bit.
bit. I just feel a little bad. Like Harold Ramis is kind of covered there, and then I felt bad. I was like, oh, poor Harold Ramis. We liked
Or
him.
Harold.
Poor Harold. Oh, hello everyone. We're
Hello.
back.
We are
Hello.
back. We are back. We are
I'm
back.
PJ. That's Paul. We talk about movies. That's how this works, right?
I think something like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of other things too, but usually we always circle around back to the movies.
Oi,
Or-
look out! It's two middle-aged geeks on film. I think like that.
Like that, pretty much like that. Welcome to our show. It is a little bit of has been a little bit of a wait. If you see my post on channel and stuff, it's been quite a tremendously challenging time in the PLD household on numerous levels, as well as some of my other hosts as well. And that's really kind of thrown a real monkey wrench into the scheduling of the shows the past like month and a half or so. But
Oh, we've done okay.
we've been okay, actually. We've probably been the most consistent. We missed last week, but I put up the Guardians of the Galaxy Patreon exclusive one there to kind of fill the gap.
Yeah.
So if you're not on Patreon, well, then that's you did miss some time, but you know that's your fault. You should join the Patreon.
That's okay. What is it? Absence makes the heart grow fonder, or
Something like that.
something
That
like
could
that. Allegedly, that's what we're told. We're supposed to believe. So,
But like they said in this
missed
film,
us.
we're back, baby. We're back.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you're upset that we're back, bummer. You don't have to
Bummer.
be here.
That's true. It's true. Very true. But we do have a look on all the shows. Just real quickly on the other side of things, Maddie and I are going to hopefully get back together for Holy Snokes this week. Lego and I are going to record a review on the 24th, so we should be back then as well. Hopefully, if everything else comes together like it should, we should be great. The only monkey wrench that has now in the foreseeable future is I'm on call next week. That always kind of like there's a random monkey wrench into things if I can't schedule things the way I want to. But we are working our way back, and we shall return post haste. And yeah, that's what we're doing here.
What fucking decade is it that you're using post haste?
I don't know what that kind of means. We're in the 80s, right? This is what this film
I thought so. I mean, it's 1989. It's 5 years later. This is interesting. So obviously, if you saw the thumbnail, we're talking about Ghostbusters 2. If you were on the podcast feed, you know we're talking about Ghostbusters 2, or maybe somehow you just ended up here by accident and didn't see it all. So now you know we're talking about Ghostbusters 2, the sequel to the highest grossing comedy of its time, Ghostbusters from 1984, a film that went through so many changes, had so much turmoil behind the scenes just to get made. A movie that initially no one involved even wanted to make. A movie that you can kind of see it. The unfortunate side effect of a lot of this is you can kind of see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff
right
up front and center with this movie. And in 1989, those that may not be aware, it was also the first summer that featured the most amount of sequels ever released in one summer. So it was a year that featured Karate Kid 3, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Star Trek 5, Lethal Weapon 2, then Batman was coming out. There was a Bond movie, I'm pretty sure, that year too. So you had a little bit of everything kind of happening all at once.
Yeah.
And you had to be the best of the best that year.
Right.
You had to be. Because when you look at just in 1989 alone on a sequel front, you had to be the best of the best, or you had to be Batman. Because as everyone knows, in 1989, it was the summer of the Bat.
It was indeed. Absolutely. A lot of big films, a lot of big sequels, a lot of big everything going on this year. And you're right that this film feels like, I'll give you my thesis statement of sorts of this entire film. I feel like this film succeeds only because of the absolute charisma, talent, and just chutzpah of the creatives involved. Because quite frankly, you can kind of tell that no one really wants to be here.
No.
To be honest with you, except maybe Dan Aykroyd. I think Dan Aykroyd
and Peter McNichol.
Peter McNichol, yes, that is true. That is true.
Peter McNichol, Rick Moranis, and Dan Aykroyd all very clearly want to be in this film.
Right. Right. It's pretty much. You could tell that like this is kind of a thing where like they're like, okay, we're gonna do this. It's almost like It was inevitable. It was going to happen. It was good. Like this was obviously the big hit of 1984. Columbia went through some not so great moments in between since Ghostbusters. They needed a big hit. The only thing that was weird was like how long it took. That's because everything just took its time. Bill Murray didn't want to come back at one point. And when he was ready to come back, the script wasn't ready. You had a lot of people who had a lot of say in what was going on. So it caused a lot of consternation. Luckily, like I said, they're so talented. They have such charisma together and camaraderie that it does ultimately work as a movie. It's nowhere near the first film. It's nowhere near the first film. But there is a lot of great. I forgot how many great moments there were, and this is basically what this film is. It's a film of great moments. The cohesiveness of the film itself.
Yeah, that's kind of it. I don't revisit this one a lot, and every time I walk away, and I remember liking it more than I think I do, and then I watch it, and I'm reminded, wait. There's a lot of really good moments in a movie that is just a poor man's version of the original.
Right.
And that sounds mean, and I don't mean it to sound mean. But, like, it is structured to be real similar. Like, Dana is right in the middle of everything all over again. It really doesn't try to break out of the mold of the original, and it tries to use a lot of the same setups to do certain things. And the most interesting part about all this is that the few things that stand out to me ended up being stuff that they did in reshoots just 2 months before the movie came out. Which kind of tells you everything. That even when they were making it, they weren't quite sure how they were doing this, and then once it tested, they really didn't know where to go. And I think that one of the biggest problems is, as weird as this sounds, for how big the cast is, it feels like there's too many people this time. And it really makes it so that there's no focus in the same way, so characters feel lost in the shuffle.
Great.
When you had the original, everyone had some sort of moment. But in this movie, I look at it and it's like, why is Janine even in this movie? What is the point of her and the relationship with Rick Moranis? Like, it doesn't add anything to the movie.
Has a few humorous moments from it. That's about it. But like, yeah, exactly. Lewis even doesn't have anything. He has his big shining moment as a Ghostbuster when he comes in at the end and like dresses up in the suit and stuff. But like, that even seems forced. Why is he the tax guy of the Ghostbusters?
Well,
it all just seems like.
Do you know why?
No, I don't. I didn't actually read a lot about this one this week.
Because all of the rest of his scenes were cut out of the movie. The initial sequence where he sees Slimer was supposed to be a running bit through the movie where he finally becomes a Ghostbuster, and he has a subplot where he is going after Slimer, who's gotten out of the containment unit. And so that was an entire plot point that was basically taken out of the movie.
Okay. Interesting.
Poor
Lewis.
Poor Lewis. The other thing that is cut out of the movie, and this is wild, is Eugene Levy was also in the film. Once they got to the psychiatric ward, and he was Lewis's cousin, and he was going to be instrumental in getting the Ghostbusters out for the final battle. When they decided to cut all that out, we are pivoted to a scene where the mayor is the one who goes, wait, they're in, the hospital. And that's the other thing. What in the world is this random character that is added in, played by Kurt Fuller, who, don't get me wrong, I love Kurt Fuller.
Yeah.
Why is he here?
They needed someone to replace, what's his name? Dickless from the first film, pretty much.
Yes, correct.
Like the character archetype, even though he's with the mayor this time instead, it's the same character archetype. They need someone to push back against the Ghostbusters, someone for Venkman and everybody to rag on while they're talking to the mayor. That's pretty much the entirety of his character.
Yeah. It's just very strange.
And you're right. They actually slide different. Like, for example, Peter McNichol's character, who does his best in the thankless role and like does his thing, but even his character is kind of sliding into the Lewis
100%.
film. It is I'm in love with Dana. It's unrequited, and I'm going to be pushed around and stuff. The only twist is, instead of becoming an evil dog, with no agency, he becomes the evil, like actual evil henchman.
Right, and that's the other thing is that the stuff with Vigo actually, like, was super cut down, and it makes the 3rd act really jarring,
Mm,
especially the moment when Ray is taken over by him, because they cut an entire sequence earlier in the movie where Ray is actually possessed by him.
right. It's so random. I mean, they have that scene still in that
The
moment
beginning of it.
at the beginning of it. Yeah, they had the beginning where he's staring at the painting and he gets
Yeah.
whatever. But then like they have the thing at the end, and then it's like that actually makes no sense at that point too. It's kind of like, okay, well, what's going on here? And also like he's like got the big head again. You're like, wait, what just happened there? And they just shoot him. It's all over. Okay, so why do you even bother with that? At
Yeah,
that
I
point,
gotta say, the 3rd act of this movie is a mess, and apparently they reshot it,
mm,
and so this was an entirely different 3rd act than the initial
mm,
3rd act,
okay,
and I don't know if that's better or worse, because I actually enjoy the first 2 acts of the movie mostly, even though I do think that the humor doesn't always land,
right,
or, like, every plot point works. I'm gelling with it, I'm having a good time, like, the movie is doing the thing, right?
right,
But goddamn, dude, the 3rd act of this movie just kinda womps. And that's my biggest problem is that Vigo is not that interesting as a villain in the same way that Gozer is, and because of that, it just kind of feels boring and lifeless. And, like, that entire 3rd act just doesn't come together in the same way that the one in the first
right.
movie does. And I know that's not fair because the first movie is the first movie, and it's a classic for a reason.
It's lightning in a bottle.
Right.
Trying to
But
recreate that's
dude,
impossible.
like,
But yeah,
come on. It's such a downgrade comparatively, and it just comes down to they shoot the painting.
yeah, they shoot the paintings right. We're gonna slime Lady Liberty, make her
Yeah.
dance. Like, and
Because
that's
we
what they
need a
wanted to
big
do
thing
because
to
we
walk
need to
through the streets.
we need to start to put Marshmallow Man. This one's just on our side this time, so it's kind of fun. They're trying to like, and this like positivity thing, which seems so genuinely like great. In the first film, they had that great moment of New York City coming together, right?
Yeah.
Which does happen in real life, and that's that when that happens, that's awesome. And the second film, it feels like it's such a forced version of that. It doesn't even feel
Mhm.
like it's like I actually agree with the mayor. I'm going to tell 10 million New Yorkers to shut up or to be nice to each other. Like that, you can't just. That's what it is. You're telling me this happened instead of showing me what. Like I believed it happened to Ghostbusters the way it was going on. In
Yeah.
Ghostbusters 2, it's like you're just telling me this is happening, and I'm like, okay, sure, sure.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the biggest problem is, and this is a fundamental issue with the movie, and it's one of those you have a really hard time bouncing back from something like this. Though, admittedly, and when we get to Afterlife, it kind of comes around. But this idea that everyone turns on the Ghostbusters and already kind of forgets what happened 5 years before.
This is Doctor
I
Who levels of forgetfulness at this point.
right, and you know, Winston even says it. He goes, man, like down the line, kids aren't even going to know what happened. And of course, like Afterlife directly deals with that, which
Right.
great. Pull that back, like use that. That's fine. But I think inherently by breaking them apart and having the city turned on them, everyone sue them for saving them, like all of that just feels so contrived to
Yes.
make them look like villains. And I don't think it works.
Especially it's only 5 years later. It's like saying, like
Right.
it's like everybody suing the fire department in 2006 for trying to say for, like, 9/11 or something like that. It's like, no, that's not how you're still remembering what happened on 9/11, and you're still, like, remembering how, like, these people were, like, your heroes at this point. They
Right.
saved the day. You don't turn them I know heroes get turned on. I get that. But this just seems very forced. This is such a big thing that happened. Like, it's
Right.
such a huge thing that happened. You can't turn that quickly, especially to the level of degree that they had gotten turned on. Like it just, how did they not believe in ghosts? Like the mayor was there, he completely understood,
Right.
believed it. He was all involved
Right.
in it. Like how does
Yeah.
he all of a sudden turn into like a non-believer all of a sudden again? It's just
Yeah,
like
and all this like, "Oh, they're charlatans again," and, like, they made all of it up, and it was like,
you were here last time.
I
You
I
saw it.
I hate it. I hate that entire
Yeah.
concept and conceit, and I really think that by doing that, you underwrite the original and you really hamper the characters. And I think that it really just suffers because of it.
There's a better way to have done it. The better way to easily have done it. You could still start it. And you could say that what they did in the first film was so uber successful or whatever that there's no like ghosts coming around at this point. They really
Yes.
clean shop, and so they're gone down in their luck because there's no business anymore. Like they actually they were so successful they put themselves out of business, and so now like 5 years later, kind of like, well, sure they're doing kids parties because they got nothing else to do at this point. That makes sense, and that is fine. And I can even see like a subplot where like if the ghosts start coming back for whatever reason, that some people question whether they're just creating it again because they missed their celebrity or something like that. You could deal with that aspect and still do what you wanted to do, but it'd be more subtle and less like contrived and overt, which really kind of kills it and kills the characters. Like,
Yeah.
why are they doing
No.
birthday parties? Like, why are they doing that?
Yeah. And
Why is Ray Parker's song canon in the universe now?
it just because there's so many weird choices.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, the Ray Parker thing is almost too meta for its own good.
I
And
agree.
I just don't get the birthday party thing and like really making it a point that everyone hates them and shit. Like, I don't know. I think it puts a bad taste in my mouth pretty much out the gate. Um, and truth of the matter is as much as I love Dana, boy, the opening of the movie doesn't have nearly the impact of the opening of the original.
Oh God, no.
And you know, I kind of don't blame the people who said that this was for Ghostbusters and a baby. The Oscar character
Yeah.
is fine, but you always run into adding a child into a movie or a television show, and what does it add to it? And I think the truth of the matter is that they have this character, and he's only there to create more tension between Dana and
Right.
Bill Murray, you know? Like, and that
But
sucks because they're really trying to force Peter to like evolve.
it,
And Murray tries, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't work.
I would say it doesn't like it doesn't. If you're trying to add tension between Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver, I don't think that actually works. I don't feel any tension between them. Mostly, I feel like because she's so in, it feels like she's in on going back with him pretty much right away. The only exception being like she tells him, "Oh, don't tell Peter you're doing this for me." Then once
Yeah.
Peter's on scene, she's like basically throwing herself at him again. At that point, like throwing herself. I shouldn't say again because that wasn't the first film. She's basically throwing herself at him, and Venkman is like this suddenly this like good guy kind of guy,
Yeah.
and
And he's like, again, I like all the scenes with him and Oscar, but it
yeah,
also feels weird.
yeah.
Like out of place in a way that doesn't really work.
Right, right. It yeah, it doesn't you're right, it doesn't work. I mean, it works only because if it does work, and I don't know if it doesn't work completely, but if it does work, it's only because Bill Murray and Sigourney Weaver have great chemistry together.
That's why.
They
Yeah.
that we why. And Bill Murray, like I said, Bill Murray's so funny and so charismatic. Even when you neuter his character a little bit, he still gets away with it a little bit. He's still kind of like he still has some of my favorite moments in the movie by far. He has some great line deliveries. In fact, his line delivery, I'll actually use this one to this day. It's the one when they're digging the hole in the street. The second time the cops come around, and one guy's like, he's like, goes, "You're out with Con Ed. You're out with phone lines. What are you doing?" And he sits there just like for a second, pauses. "I got a major gas leak here." And then he just went
Yeah.
right into it, like a completely shifts his page. It's perfect over delivery. Only Bill Murray can really deliver it that way. So he still has these great, funny, hilarious moments that make the movie continue to go. Which is why when I watch this, I don't regret watching it because of
No,
that.
God, no.
But like, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong in that. Like, it just feels like this is what it feels to me. It feels like it's an old rock band that got together to re-record the greatest hits.
Hmm.
And usually what happens then is that old rock band isn't as hungry, isn't as desiring, so it doesn't sound like it's as soulful as the original. It's missing that edge, it's missing that like that bite that the original song had. And it's still good. You still can sing along to it. You can still bop to it
Right.
and everything else. But it's just it's not it's like a comforting thing instead of like a give me the edge you got there.
Yeah, 100%. And it just kind of womps there.
Mm,
And there's stuff that is super fun. Like I think that this sequence with them in when they've been sued again by the city and they're at the courthouse.
Yes, that's one of the better
And the
sequences
scene
in
with
the
the
film.
Scoleri brothers is one of the best scenes in the movie, like, hands down. And that's also because I actually think that's where the stuff with the slime actually works the best.
Mm,
I do think that that is a plot line that they try to make more through line, but it doesn't quite always get there. But in that sequence in particular, it really quite works.
yeah.
And so I really do like that bit.
It helps with Harris Yulin being Judge Wexler. He like commits to
Yes.
that bit like so hardcore. Lewis has his probably that's my favorite Lewis moment in the whole movie is him trying to be that lawyer or whatever.
Yeah.
Even though that's because he's not that kind of lawyer and everything else. That's funny. But there is even some moments in there, and kind of like when Egon says, why don't you tell me you don't believe in ghosts and stuff, and like it feels a little forced. But I will say it also has my favorite. Probably my most like fist pump type moment is Bill Murray on the stand, and he goes, "What I'm trying to say is
Yeah. Who you
sometimes
gonna
shit's gonna
call?
happen, and
Yeah.
who you gonna call?" It's like, there you go. That
See,
applause felt earned, and that felt like this is what we should
yeah,
be doing.
100%. Like, that's the stuff that really pops off in the
Right.
movie. And that's when I start to really fall in love with it and go, man, this is like this is where the movie's really good.
You don't
And
want us exposing ourselves. So good. That moment's
it
so
makes
good.
me wonder what this movie could have been had they actually had the proper time to make it.
Right. And then proper desire. Like they wanted to go back and do it that way. And
Right.
it feels like even though they don't want to do the whole thing, they still have their hearts of the characters. So it just happens to naturally come out sometimes that they kind of bust into those characters. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Like,
no, 100%. You're not wrong. And it's just so interesting because like the movie is better than we mostly give it credit for, but it's such an impossible hill to climb coming off of the original that
right.
no matter what, it's almost impossible also for me not to feel somewhat disappointed every time I watch it. And I
Yeah.
feel bad for that because I
Right.
don't want to be hard on this movie. I don't
Yeah.
want to not like this movie.
I mean, it was bad enough that it killed the franchise for a long time. Let's be
A
honest. Because like
long time.
Ghostbusters
Till 20
3 was in developmental hell forever. I never really got it. Actually, really never
No,
got it.
we did.
I mean, we
We
got it
got it
in
as
the
a
video game. In the
yeah,
video
I was
game,
gonna say we
but not
got it.
like as a movie, right? That's what I
Right.
mean.
But that's very telling, isn't it?
Absolutely. And like, I'm honestly almost glad it didn't happen as a movie because I just feel like it wouldn't have worked as a movie at that point with everything I've heard going down. It just feels like everything was just working against it. It needed that reset. It needed that like I think it needed 2016 to kind of like reset it, even though that's not like in universe or whatever, in order for them to get like to Afterlife and everything else. It actually felt like this like really refreshing, like, okay, now we are here. I want to make this film. I want to pay homage to the original. I want to pay homage
Yeah.
to the original cast. And they felt like they were finally back on board and everything else. We kind of make, I mean, and the death of Harold Ramis kind of really also just put that kibosh in it for a long time anyway. Absolutely.
Well,
Um,
and the relationship between him and Bill had
absolutely.
gotten so
That's
toxic
right.
after Groundhog Day, and there's all those stories about when they kept trying to get scripts done for
Mhm.
Ghostbusters 3. There was the very infamous story about they sent one of the scripts to Murray and a box came back to Ramis or whoever it was, and it was the script had been shredded
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was just there.
Yeah. You
And
don't
it was
want
like, God damn, dude, like that sucks.
it. Yeah, it really
Um, and
does.
and it's so funny because like that video game is a really great third chapter, but like you say, it never would have worked as a movie.
No.
Um, and it works better as a video game because you can do a lot more in that realm, in that world.
Right.
And to that point, one of the biggest, I'm not going to say problems with this movie, but one of the things that really changed this film and the way that it feels is the fact that in the time between the first and the second movie, Ghostbusters became a Saturday morning cartoon.
Right.
And this is the thing that we will talk about a lot with Afterlife also, because we have a lot of people who, when Afterlife came out, had that whole conversation about why do people revere Ghostbusters so much? Why does this movie treat it like it's such like heavy lore and all this stuff? The reason is because a lot of us grew up on 2 Saturday morning Ghostbusters cartoons on top of the movies. And those TV shows hugely impacted how I looked at the franchise. And so in this initial version of it though, the real Ghostbusters was a lot more family friendly. And in doing that, that means that you've created an entire new fan base of children.
Mhm.
So you have to start to like kind of sand down the edges of the original, because the original movie is dark, it's funny, it's a little adult. This one is a lot less dark, a lot less adult, and really kind of leans in on being more for kids.
It feels
Weirdly
like the
enough,
kiddie birthday party version of Ghostbusters.
right? Which weirdly enough, the movie is kind of making fun of up front.
Right.
But like
Yeah.
at the same time, that is literally what the movie is.
Mhm.
So now tonally, it feels a little different too.
Yeah.
And whether you like that or not is another thing entirely. I don't necessarily think it's a huge detriment, but also like they cut the most major part of that out by having the stuff with Moranis chasing Slimer no longer in the movie, which arguably probably would have been one of the like funnier bits throughout the film.
And one of the most connective tissues. If you think about it, like Slimer is such a big part. Slimer became like really almost like partially the face of the franchise really for a bit. Like,
100%.
he was the big hit out of Ghostbusters. You had the Ghost, obviously the Ghost logo. You had the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and you had the boys. But everybody talked about Slimer. And then you have him in the cartoon, which by the way, it's interesting because I was not one of the cartoon boys. I didn't ever really watch the animated
Yeah.
show, so that never really resonated with me. I understand that's there, and I appreciate that Afterlife took a lot from it. That's kind of cool. I should probably go back and watch it at some point. I probably will at some point, but Slimer was a big part of that as well. So like it feels so weird that like the second film like cut out most of his stuff. Like that's what do you, it's like having a Mandalorian Grogu movie without Grogu. Like,
Yeah.
it's like,
100%.
like, that's your selling point. That's your baby right there. Like,
Well, and they even made it a point that when they were making this, they were like, we can't really disregard the cartoon. So the cartoon is allegedly supposed to be set after the events of the second movie, which I think is really funny. Where you're like, wait, what? Okay,
so, okay, sure.
okay, sure. Like that's a thing. Um, I yeah, man, it's weird. So in watching this though, like there's some stuff that really, really is fun and really works. Like in one of the scenes that I was talking about, one of the additions to the movie was the ghost train sequence. That
Yes,
sequence is great. Um,
yes.
that's the kind of stuff like when the movie is really working, that's great. And I have to say, why the fuck does Winston not have more to do this time around?
Yeah, that's a really big slight. I mean, you understand what happened in the first one, the way that kind of story was developing. Like he was the hand me, he was the last guy standing, last guy brought in and whatever. So that makes sense. But this time he should be a full Ghostbuster. He still feels like he's relegated to like the extra hand at this
Yeah.
point. I mean, in fact, he gets like when the Ghostbusters go on trial and Winston's there. Winston wasn't even doing anything in the first part. Like, he wasn't involved in the first part of why they're being sued. He wasn't there.
No.
It's like, why
And then he's no longer there.
right?
Like so
Like,
then once they put on the packs, he's not there.
right? Like what?
What?
It's so weird. It's so bizarre. Like it makes me wonder if there was a time where like he might not be coming back or something like that, and they kind of like gave him some stuff later on. Like, oh, they finally worked something out, and then I don't know. I mean, I don't know really, but like it's just that's what it feels like. It feels like they
Yeah.
weren't sure he was coming back, so they kind of hedged their bets a little bit, and then like, oh, he is back. We'll throw the locomotive scene in there. We already shot some of this stuff, so we'll just put him in this stuff and we'll make it work at the end. We'll do I think some things at the end and everything else. That's what it feels like, and that's unfortunate because like I think Afterlife, that's the one of the things they did best with is they kind of made him
Yeah.
really,
Important.
really important, right? He was really a primary thing there. He's the one that's going to continue on more than any other ones were at this point.
Yeah. Well, and it's weird too with this because I think the only reason he gets bumped up when he does also, and I hate to say it this way, but it's genuinely because they kind of pull Murray out of all the action because he is slotted to be over with Dana and Oscar.
Right.
So he's really not involved
Yeah,
in
they
the
don't even
same
put him in
way.
there because he's Winston. They put him in there because they need a third person.
Yeah. Which
That's awful.
just kind of feels not the best, in
Mhm.
my opinion. Like, it doesn't really work.
We
And
mentioned
that
it last time. One of the best things about Ghostbusters 1, one of the best scenes we had was that great scene between Dan Aykroyd and Ray and Winston in the car, talking about the apocalypse and the times and stuff. That was a great human moment. From then on there, that should have been Winston's role.
yeah.
Winston is the everyman who kind of like you could explain things to. It's a great way to get exposition out. You also have that kind of like non-scientific mind look at these kind of things, and that makes giving it that balance really kind of gives some interesting discussions, interesting conversation, everything else. Because Egon and Ray, I mean, they got great chemistry. Don't get me wrong; their back and forth is fun because they're both like it's always like about the smartest things. Like for example, my wife Kim was watching this with me last night, and she laughed hysterically at almost all of Egon's lines, especially like what he says like. Well, what do you think about this? Like, is the carbon date of carbon? Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah. Like, whatever it is.
I don't even know, but like he's like, it's a smart way of saying, well, yeah, duh. And that's a funny way to do it. But having Winston there for that kind of conversation, so you'd be like, that gives you a little humor, gives you a little bit more of that kind of like, I don't know, something that the movie is missing a little bit because of that.
I think that it misses a lot because they're trying so hard to both recapture the magic while also not trying to, as weird as that sounds.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's at war with itself. It's the
Right.
best way to describe it. It just doesn't quite know where it wants to land.
Right.
And that's
Part of
hard,
that
man.
is the aim. I think part of it is that like we want to make this more viable for kids. Obviously, between 84 and 89, this is like when the PG-13 started happening. And like we're trying to delineate between children's stuff and adult stuff. And we know that children's movies make more. So maybe we could tone down the content just enough to make it children friendly. So that it can be a family movie instead.
Right.
By doing that, you'll lose a little bit of the edge there, a little bit with that. And that's what kind of like makes it seem a little less focused on things.
Well, and I think that's ultimately the kind of big takeaway here. And that sounds so weird to only be like 30 minutes into this, but like my big takeaway is the entire movie is unfocused. It
Yeah.
doesn't really know what it wants to do. And you can tell that like they really didn't have a script. I know like their idea was that they were trying to create a movie that talked about how we need to be better to each other and how like so much anger in one place can cause this sort of manifestation of like evil and like pain and hurt. And I understand that, but like it doesn't really come through in any sort of way.
It's a great motivation and it's a great like message and everything else. I get it, but it's so heavy handed the way it's done that like it just feels like okay. Like it just takes you out. Like it's funny that like ghosts and stuff don't take you out of it, but this kind of like heavy-handed hammering of the message they're trying to say does take me out. 'Cause I'm kind of like, this is you're not okay. So people seeing positivity, that's what wins the day. People
Yeah.
can think positive, we can shoot the painting, and we're good to go. Like what? What?
Yeah.
It's
It's real strange, man. And like again, I don't know what it is, but like Vigo is just such a boring villain. Like it really doesn't work in any sort of way outside of the fact that Peter McNichol gives his all as Jonas. Like that's it.
yeah, he is great. The Vigo stuff is dumb. Your enemy is a painting.
Yeah.
And then it comes to life a little bit at the end. He has no real. I don't think he has any lines of dialogue. Does he even say it? Does he say anything, or does he say like one or two things? Like it's.
He has a few lines of
I can't
dialogue, but it's
remember. It's
mostly the
like
same thing. Remember, he's usually repeating it.
yeah. It's like like I want the child. It's like he uses the force to like get to find the baby. It's like, it's so like just ridiculously dumb. The best part about that, honestly, is when when Venkman has to rant, trying to distract him or whatever. That's like the only because you get Bill Murray being Bill Murray, just throwing up a lot of Bill Murray jingo or whatever at that point. That's what works. But yeah, it is not a good villain at all.
No,
And it's not like you had to have a villain that was like, for example, going back to like the first film, the villain wasn't exactly the most compelling villain. Like, I mean, at the end, like you get
right.
she's basically a David Bowie video cast off, kind of standing there and does sort of similar things, but it feels like even that was better than this random like blonde haired old guy kind of thing. Just didn't. There was no
Well,
chemistry.
because also, like, again, I think Gozer feels more like a presence throughout
Yes,
the movie,
yes, yes.
and I think that becomes the biggest issue, is that, again, they try to do this. There's also a few too many montages in this. That sounds weird, but there's, like, a couple of different montages because they took a bunch of the stuff they deleted, and they kept trying to find ways to use it, so they'd, like, put it into the montages.
Which felt like they were basically yada yada yadaing it for you, which is not a
Yeah,
good sign. It's like, yeah, you know what's going on here, so yada yada yada. We'll get to the next thing.
yeah. And so they have throughout, they have this, like, they keep seeing the slime, they keep seeing the slime, but I never feel like it has its place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when the stuff with Gozer is a lot of the ghosts are coming back because of Gozer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that I liked that because the dead coming back was partially because of Gozer.
The building, the time, everything
Yeah.
had like a prophecy, a reason for happening. The slime, you don't even what is the connection between the slime and Vigo? We have no idea really. You only see it the one time in that painting or the photo of the painting. We see the river of slime underneath Vigo's head, but there's no real like explanation of like why that's
Other
really
than it's
connected.
just everyone's anger becoming this thing.
But what does that have to do with Vigo? Like that, like
No, I know.
right?
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying.
It seems like there's two separate villains here.
No, he just uses that.
Right. It's okay.
No,
Sure.
I know. I look, I am not arguing with you.
Mhm. I know you're
Um,
not.
it just it doesn't really work.
No.
And it's kind of a bummer because, like, the villain looks cool.
Right.
Like, he on paper, this idea that an evil painting is gonna come to life and, like, try to possess people is actually kinda neat. The problem is that I just don't care because it doesn't really build off of anything.
No,
And
it's
again,
so quick.
you've also introduced the son of a character that we love, but because it's a child and it's a character I don't know, I'm less inclined to care. I think I'd have cared more had it been like
Venkman's kid.
Peter, yeah,
Yeah.
if it,
Yeah.
yeah, like had it been Peter's son.
Right. I agree. I agree. And like, I mean, it's not like they use that for anything except like I mean a few lines of dialogue. I mean, Bill Murray still has is Bill Murray, so he's still fun and like he still plays it a little bit, but like it still feels like this would have been much better if this was his kid. Like he ran away from the marriage or from the kid because he's irresponsible Bankman and stuff. And then he like
Right.
uses film to get back together to learn like they should be a good father. Like that would actually be a story worth telling in a way. This is now just like because like it feels like she had this whole relationship in 5 years. She had this like she found this other guy who I don't know if it was supposed to be the guy from the first film or not. I kind of felt like that's what it's supposed to be. That was like the guy, the
Yeah,
violinist
we
from the
don't
first
really get
film.
an answer for that in any
I think
capacity.
it's supposed to be, but that's my own like headcanon, I guess. So we have this guy, they get together, they have a kid. Somehow it doesn't work, and he goes to London and leaves her, and now he's back. She's back, and like we don't hear anything about any connection with him at all. Like we don't know if he's in the life of Oscar at all. Like Oscar's in danger, and she doesn't call him once. Like we don't. This whole time you don't think he goes, "Hey, you better come back, or there's some shit going down with our son." No, Venkman's now basically the father. Like,
Yeah.
so why not just I don't know, make Venkman the father? Like
Yeah, and it to me it doesn't make sense that he's not. And they originally had it that he was. And again, I think this is one of those they thought too hard about trying to subvert expectations going into making this, that the stuff that felt the most logical is the stuff that they shied away from.
yeah,
Like, the Ghostbusters should have still been heroes.
right.
Peter and Dana should have still been together, and probably should have been his kid. And I only say this not because I want that to be the case. I say that because when you watch the movie, it doesn't work in the right way.
Right.
It's different when you watch something like The Force Awakens, right? I understand why they do what they do with Han and Leia when you introduce Ben to the mix and what happened with Ben.
Yeah, it has.
I
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't get that here. And I know that that's a weird comparison, but like it kind of serves the same purpose. Again, Dial of Destiny. I understand where we meet Indy with his stuff with Marion. Kingdom of the
Right.
Crystal Skull, similarly. Like I do understand those places where we do that stuff. So it's not that I can't get past this. It's that I think in this case in particular, it doesn't work and doesn't make sense for the time jump that has happened. And because the movie doesn't give me a reason to believe that it happened for any other reason other than just to do that.
It doesn't, and it doesn't work because they don't do anything with it. Like the idea
Right.
is they're apart. She has a kid. They get back together, but there's no real tension between the two characters. Like I said, pretty much from the get go, after like the first like scene, and even then's only like moments, they're basically together. Like they're
Mhm.
throwing a few barbs that way, but that's why they were in a relationship anyway. So you create all this like potential for tension, and then there's like no tension there. It's like we're moving on. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
No, you're 100% right. And that's part of why this just doesn't really
Right.
come together in the right way. Um, it's frustrating, man, because the more I think about it, the more kind of bummed I get. Because
Hmm.
and it's not like I was bummed out watching it. I was enjoying watching it because I like the characters. But the truth of the matter is that as it goes, I'm just thinking about it more and I'm like, "Huh, I don't really like most of this movie." Like I like watching it, but
Right.
I don't like thinking about it because the more I think about it, the more frustrated I get. Like
Mm.
so also the Ghostbusters are now villains. People don't believe them or any of this, but Egon has now this like cushy science job with some university, and Peter is a TV celebrity.
Right.
What?
But they're villains.
But they're villains.
They're hoaxes. They're whatever. How like they're supposed not only they're villains, they're hoaxes and they're con men. So I mean, Peter, I can kind of maybe get as a con being like the world of psychic kind of guy. Sure, maybe I can buy that. But like Egon's like cushy gig doesn't make the least sense of everything involved. Pete opening his bookstore is probably, I mean, Ray opening a bookstore. That's great. I like that because I love that that's actually lore, because that's actually lore that is built upon. Yeah, he has the occult books and a great little space for him. But you're right. I'm watching it more and more. I watch this, the more and more I rewatched it. Ghostbusters 2 might be one of the most ultimate like background movies to have. Like you don't sit down to watch this movie. You sit down to have it on in the background and fun and laugh balls off at some of the good moments, but like don't want to engage in the story really because the story's not there. The story's not
Yeah.
there.
No, and I hate to say it because that is going to continue to be this movie's biggest issue is that there's just the story's not there. The care for it is not there. I hate saying that because I don't like feeling like this.
Yeah. And it's funny
Um,
because Aykroyd really does care. There's few people out there who care as much about a franchise and like its lore and stuff, whatever its world, than Dan Aykroyd does. Dan Aykroyd,
yeah,
you hear him talk about this franchise, you hear him talk about the scripts he's done, the work he goes through. He and like throughout the whole developmental hell of Ghostbusters 3, he was always the appointment of he wanted to do this. He had so much faith in this world. He loved this world and everything else. And yeah, it's like you love this world, and then you kind of come up with this, and that's your pitch, huh? That's your going through.
yeah, it's
Okay.
wild.
Yeah.
Well, because even going into like the 30th anniversary when they did all those like nice special editions of the movie and they did all those like looking back docs, who were the two people that were sitting in those chairs when they were talking about it. It was Ivan and Dan. Like they
Mm-hmm.
were the two who were the ones who would talk about it. He's the one who's involved in every documentary that you'll ever watch about the Ghostbusters
Mm-hmm.
because he legitimately cares. Dude, he wrote the script for the video game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I actually have to wonder. I still have to wonder if Harold hadn't have passed, would Bill have come back for Afterlife? Because it
no.
feels like Bill comes back for Afterlife because he loves Harold Ramis and like kind of wanted to like have that kind of closure of sorts in a way. And that's what it feels like to me. I think he rekindled him enough to come back for Frozen Empire, obviously, because he did come back again for Frozen Empire at that point.
Mm-hmm.
If we have a new film, is he going to be will he come back again for the new film? I don't know. It's hard to tell.
It's so interesting you bring that up because Frozen Empire, weirdly enough, falls into a lot of the same traps that this movie does.
Mm.
It feels very tonally different from the one before it. It does a lot of the same, like there's too many characters, some of the focus feels weird. A lot of focus on kind of sanding down some of the edges for some of the new fans, like really base some of your stuff around the cartoon so it feels like that. But that one's a lot more fun. And it
Yes.
feels a lot more earned. And we'll
Yes.
talk about it when we get to that one, but it's very interesting that I can point to 2 different versions of, like, Ghostbusters 2, as it were, and they kind of fall into the same pitfalls, and yet I still think one does it so much better than the other one.
Mm. Mm. So it's funny is that it's hard for me to say for sure about that because I haven't watched Frozen Empire since it was in the theaters. I have not rewatched it once. So I'm very interested in getting there and rewatching. I really did enjoy it in the theaters when I saw it. I saw some of the cracks that people were talking about, but I did enjoy it overall. So I'm very interested to see if I come away with the same thoughts that you do.
Yeah, I was thinking about it while I was watching it, where I was like, "Huh, a lot of my issues with this movie are also present in that movie, but I think it's more refined."
Mm.
And I think that's arguably the biggest part is it just feels more refined overall. Um,
I do
so
wonder
there's
if
that.
it's because another reason why, and I could be completely mistaken here, but it feels like there was a time like nowadays, lore, canon, all that stuff just feels so much more important than it used to. Like
Yeah,
Ghostbusters, like in 1980s, they made a sequel. They kind of was like, well, we're just gonna do it. We're gonna have fun with it, whatever. If it did contradict something a little bit, yeah, kind of, we'll just massage it and make it work. And we like forgive those. Like back in the growing up, we forgive all those kind of like little moments like that. Generally speaking, because we're like, oh, we love being in the world again. We don't do that now. Now we're kind of like, as a fandom in general, as like a people, movie going people in general, we're like, oh, that's not my Ghostbusters. Oh, they just fucked this up. And that's what they
right.
do nowadays. And like, I hate that, to be honest with you. I think there's probably a happy medium somewhere that we should probably get to, but
Oh, there's absolutely a happy medium.
which we should strive for. And I think we should err more towards being the forgiving of it. Let's just watch a good movie. Let's make a good movie and everything else. But it is what it is. I think Ghostbusters 2 just didn't quite have a handle on it.
No, and again, I do think that the fact that Murray had like walked away from acting after the first one didn't help the situation. The fact that the dude who ran Columbia also was kind of not really that interested in making the movie. The
Right.
cast actually wasn't really that interested in making the movie. It's hard because at the end of the day, when you're not interested, it comes through.
Right.
And I've said this before on here. There's nothing more joyous than watching a movie where everyone involved is clearly having the time of their lives.
Yeah.
Because that joy and that care and that feeling comes through every single frame.
You're
And
absolutely right.
this is one of those times where you can point to it and go like, "Look, we've been hard on this movie, don't get me wrong, but it's watchable.
Oh,
It's not
absolutely.
bad. It's not good. It just kind of exists." But the truth of the matter is that you watch this and people's hesitation to be involved comes through.
Yeah.
People's feelings about being on set comes through. People knowing that they're having problems with the story comes through. And you just can't quite get past that. So there's
Right.
a part of the movie, I don't want to say that it feels aimless, but it feels a little bit lethargic.
Right. Yeah.
And that,
That's a good way to say it.
that sucks because
Yeah.
it's not for lack of trying, but it's just lack of care.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta say, it's almost like less about care, almost as much as just more like anti. Not anti is the wrong word too. It's like they're not against it. They just because I think they all like the universe and they all love the first movie. They loved what it meant and everything else. It's just kind of like It felt inevitable, and that's what this movie feels. It just feels like it's an inevitable continuation, whether you were ready to do it or not. But
Yeah.
again, they couldn't wait too much longer. It'd been 5 years. You weren't gonna wait another 10 years to do a sequel at that point. I mean, these were back in the day
You
when
know,
sequels would come, like, once every year or, like, every at least 2 years, 3 years at most. 5 years feels like a lot an eternity between, like, a 1 and a 2.
um, I'll say this. I almost wish they had waited a decade. You know why? Because then a lot of the storyline stuff I'd have bought into more.
I agree. I
That
absolutely
that
agree.
might be the biggest epiphany moment of all of this, is that this movie almost would have been better off having moved in that direction.
Mhm.
Um, that said, I do think that the video game, and I wanna get into this a little bit just because it is directly the 3rd movie based off of this. I appreciate that once you got to that, they didn't do that again. Like, they don't do the everyone turns against them. Now everyone actually cares. No one is
Okay.
going like, lean on them. They know that they're important. They're not gonna, like, turn on them again. I like that. I think that's great. And then everyone forgets about them again by the time we get to Afterlife, because of
Right, right.
course they do.
Well, does Aftermath I don't know, see, and again, I never played the video game either, just so you know, I never did that. So, like, does Afterlife take the video game into account?
Mhm.
It
Yeah,
does.
they c every because it was all kinda kept conceptually canon.
Okay.
Since it was also, like, the last of the appearances of the 3,
Right,
which I do appreciate. I really like that Jason felt it was important to
right.
keep that stuff involved in some capacity, and we have to remember too, and this will be a conversation we have once we get to Afterlife, though, is that so much of that movie also hinders on reveals of information about Egon that is never in these films.
Hmm.
Because we have to remember that during the times in all this, the other thing is we don't know that he has a kid,
Right,
and we don't learn that until Afterlife.
right. Yeah, makes sense.
So,
No, I definitely that's another one I'm very interested to revisit because I haven't watched Aftermath since the theater either. I've only watched them in the
I
theaters. That's
I
it.
I genuinely think that the 2 I revisit most are the original and Afterlife.
Yep.
Um, you know what you should do? You should watch the, game, because they
Cutscenes and
someone
everything.
is, like, put all the cutscenes together as a movie on YouTube. So
They'll
you
try to
can
do that
s
between.
because you can at least watch it, and, like, it is all of them, like, so Murray is in it, like,
Right.
everyone is back as it, and I love that. You play as a character who is a new recruit that they don't give a voice to. You only see yourself a couple of times. They won't give you the name because
Mhm.
Peter doesn't want to get it too attached in case something happens to you. So you are just a nameless dude who's hanging around the Ghostbusters throughout this big event,
Right.
and
Is
it's
the
really fun.
what's it called again? Ghostbusters.
Just Ghostbusters the game.
Oh, okay.
It was
Gotcha.
like a PS3 game?
Yeah.
Question mark. I just replayed it last year because
No,
I
no.
it's on if anyone wants to play it, I'm pretty sure you can buy it on Xbox, or like most of the stores, you can buy it as a game, but like it's super fun as a franchise for like as a part of the franchise. Um, I
Good.
really, really like it.
I
Yeah, the
found a
Ghostbusters the video
3 hour,
game from
28 minutes
2009. Yeah,
remastered
that'd be it.
extended cut. So,
Yeah,
all right.
you'll have
All
to
right.
watch it because I think you're gonna get a kick out of it. Just because it is so fun seeing them all together like that.
Right.
Um, I'm so curious because are we getting another movie? Is the real question. Because not that Frozen Empire did fine. It didn't
Only
have
fine though.
yeah, kind of like this one. This
Yeah.
one only did fine comparative to the original.
Right.
Um, and in hindsight, so the second, so Frozen Empire made $202 million. I like that this is where I'm going at this point as we're having this conversation. So it actually only made $2 million less than Afterlife.
Okay.
So for all intents and purposes, that's not terrible.
Oh,
Now it cost $25 million more,
right.
but you could probably pretty easily get that contained if you wanted to.
Right.
So I'm very curious to see if we are getting another one because there hasn't really been an update since October, other than them saying, yes, we're going to do another one.
Yeah, like they're working towards stuff. I mean, I've heard that a bunch of times. So it's like, okay, maybe that's it too. But yeah, I agree. It seems like it might be what Reitman wants to do. But I've also heard Jason Reitman doesn't like because he didn't direct Frozen Empire,
No, but
correct?
he wrote it.
He wrote it, right? Does he like still want to be involved? Like, I
Mhm.
mean,
He is overseeing all the Ghostbuster stuff from now on. So he's kind of doing what Gunn is doing at DC, where he don't. I'm not going to say that they have their own studio, but they kind of do actually, because like Ghost Core is its own studio now at
okay,
Sony that develops all these Ghostbusters projects,
right,
and Reitman kind of oversees everything to make sure that he feels it's in line with what his father was doing, basically.
right, right,
Because you don't want to run into, not because I don't like the 2016 movie, I actually like it quite a bit, and we'll talk about that when we get to that one too, which I've now said a few times over. But like, you don't want to run into a place where you get bogged down again.
right,
Because the biggest problem with the 2016 film is that it almost put the franchise back on ice again until Jason showed up and was like, "Cool, I'm doing this,"
right. I'm glad
and
he did
convinced
too.
Sony.
Very
Well,
glad
me
he did
too.
that because that could have killed the franchise. And like, not that like, and again, we'll get to that film obviously at that point too. Like, I don't think either of us dislike it as much as some people do, but
Mhm.
it is definitively it was a big swing, different kind of thing. I don't think it was the right swing to be honest with you, but there's still stuff I like about it. Um, but yeah, it could have killed the franchise, and I'm glad that it did. So
So, and here's what's interesting is right now there's two animated series
that are
in
development,
development.
right? Yeah,
One is a Netflix series that is tonally similar to Afterlife and Frozen Empire. And then I guess there is a prequel series that they're potentially working on about
prequel
about the characters when they met in high school,
like the
like the
original.
original 3.
Okay, so young Ghostbusters
Mhm.
kind of thing. Oh, interesting, interesting. That could be well. I'm trying to think how if that's something I'd like to see or not. Like that kind of set. Like sometimes it feels like we've had a discussion about like why is there talk of a Die Hard prequel when Die Hard made
Mhm.
John McClane, otherwise just a beat cop. That's not interesting to us. I mean, I guess it's interesting seeing the guys have their chemistry and stuff, but if the name of the film is Ghostbusters and we're learning about Ghostbusters, it's a prequel about Ghostbusters, but they're not really dealing with ghost busting too much, then like what's the concept? Like it feels like it's like a little
No
iffy to me.
disagreement for me.
Iffy to
It
me at this point.
it's one of those, like, I mean, Ray has obviously always been into the occult and stuff, so I guess there's ways to say you could do things, but, like,
Right.
I don't
Right.
know. I also fear that if you do that, you play with fire a little bit because
Yeah,
you
because
also
also
don't
you don't have Aykroyd, Murray, or Ramis.
Ramus.
And that like that feels like that's what makes them work. Like
Right.
them, not as
Now,
them.
granted, if you get someone if it is animated and you can do, like you can
Sound
get
alikes
voice
or
actors that can
right.
do that.
Right. But again, they're younger, so they wouldn't even sound like that
Right.
necessarily. It feels a little weird. It feels a little like stretched for me. So the other one was what one? So the other one was the other one was more of a
It's gonna be more of just like a Ghostbusters series that's tonally similar to
set
Afterlife and Frozen Empire. We have to assume it's
post Frozen
set in
Empire.
universe,
Okay.
but, like, whether it follows those characters, we don't know.
Right.
No
Okay.
one has said anything other than it is coming. As of April 2025, it was announced that Flying Bark Productions was animating it, and it would be on Netflix.
Okay. So that one feels more exciting to me. At least more like yeah, that one feels more exciting to me than the other one does. To be honest with you,
Oh,
I do.
100%, because
So
it's also the one that Jason is overseeing,
oh okay.
which,
Oh, so
I
that
mean,
one Jason's not even over. Oh, geez.
he's overseeing both, but it seems like Aykroyd is the one who, like, he wrote the prequel script because of course he did.
Okay.
And
Wow.
he took that to Reitman, and Reitman has been developing it with him. But like the one that's clearly taken precedent is the Netflix one, because
Right.
that seems like the easier sell also. And
Yeah.
here's where we're at. We've reached the point where we were in the 90s. Ghostbusters has had 2 movies. Ghostbusters has a cultural zeitgeist moment where the afterlife was hugely successful. It came out at a time when we all didn't know we needed it. It hit, it came, we loved it. Basically, it came, it saw, it kicked our ass. Yeah. Then it had a sequel that people liked but didn't love.
Right.
Audiences liked Ghostbusters 2 when it came out. Critically, it was not nearly as well received, but like it got an A- cinema score at the time. Like, so historically, audiences liked it more than they didn't,
Right.
but it didn't do as well as the original. And it had a cartoon series that followed it that became arguably more popular, because the Extreme Ghostbusters TV series that was on in the 90s was a huge part of my upbringing and part of why I love Ghostbusters so much, because it was a show that like really dived into the lore in the world. Like the real Ghostbusters was fun, but it was the Extreme Ghostbusters series that made me like fall in love with this world more.
What was the difference between the two, as far as like?
So real Ghostbusters was a lot more like Saturday morning cartoony, and followed the 4 leads that we knew. Extreme Ghostbusters only had Egon, and it had a new crew, and it was like a bunch of younger kids who were with him, not younger kids, but like teenagers, 20-something-year-olds who were working alongside him, and it was a lot more syndicated. Think like Gargoyles and things like that from the 90s. So it had that, in like, again, in the name, Extreme Ghostbusters, this idea that it was more like, intense comparatively.
Right.
And it was more trying to be a push forward for the franchise.
As far as like development goes, like who is like behind them? Do you know?
In that one,
Or both of them compare? Like I don't know.
I'm looking right now. Jeff Kline, who I think was involved in the Men in Black series, funny enough.
Interesting.
Which actually they look kind of similar also.
Okay, that makes sense.
But it was super cool and it was really fun. It was 40 episodes. I'm sure you can find it, but like I think that was the show that made a lot of people like me really see Ghostbusters as more than a movie franchise, more than just a thing.
Right. That makes sense. I'll add to my queue like years down the line after I get through all my other DC animated stuff and Marvel animated stuff. I'm going through. Yeah, I would want to do that someday, potentially.
Yeah. No, it's worth it. Man, I feel like at this point we've kind of said everything we can say about Ghostbusters too, though.
I know.
And now we're just kind of talking about the franchise. Is there anything else you want to say about that one in particular? Because I would like to talk about one other thing before we leave.
Okay, that's fine. I have a couple of notes, not related or
not related at all.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll do that then. Let me go through my notes. Anything I haven't mentioned. We didn't talk much about the world of the psychic. That was a humorous way to begin seeing Peter.
Again, I like that moment.
You got Kevin Dunn making a guest appearance there, which is fun. It's a perfect vehicle for someone like Venkman. It's exactly like Venkman kind of thinks. That actually made sense to me. That's where his character wound up. If the Ghostbusters like split apart, that's something he would do, become like kind of a con man that way. I did love his like pull on the different aliens thing, like Starman, ET, and he had a little shout out to V there, the big lizard. I think that's what that was. I'm excited about that. But so that I did like that.
Next week, hairless pets.
Pets. Weird. Weird. We mentioned Kurt Fuller. I think that Kurt Fuller is one of those late 80s, early 90s villains. He plays the same type of character in many movies, including the infamous Hulk Hogan vehicle, No Holds Barred. But he is always great in those roles. He is one of those kind of quintessential villain, like shit weasel kind of roles. That's what he does very well. So for someone to follow up, I forget the actor's name, ridiculous in the first one. I forget the actor's name. That actor who I'm sorry, I forget his name. He's also he did such a great job and was the number one shit weasel considering Ghostbusters and Die Hard. But Kurt Fuller, following in those shoes, does a great job in a dumb role. It's not his fault. The role is dumb. Like he did a good
It's
job.
so funny because, like, for me, as much as I love him as a shit weasel and things, I'm only ever gonna see him from Psych because I'm such a Psych fanatic, and
That's
he
fair.
is in Psych like throughout the entire run as the coroner named Woody, and
Mm.
he's so good and so wonderful and so goofy and so ridiculous. I can't not love him.
I loved him in actually for me, besides No Holds Barred and Red He was in as well. I loved him in Supernatural, where he played
Oh yeah,
Zachariah for a little while.
yeah,
Also, um, he's been a lot. He's been a lot of things. He's been so many things over the years, but he's very solid. So I mean, there's a lot of cool like little mini cameos of sorts in here. You got Cheech Marin in a quick role at the dock.
that
You
was one of the
have
reshoots.
yeah, I'm sure it was Ben
Yeah,
Stein as one of the mayor's like I don't know advisors or whatever he was kind of thing. A lot of cool little gimmicks like that, which was kind of fun. Kind of feels like that shows you how successful the first film was. You can just kind of get anybody to just
yeah.
jump on board for a quick cameo because it's Ghostbusters or whatever.
Better late than never. What a great line.
That was
I do
that was
love that scene. That
yes.
scene where the Titanic shows up is really good. Like,
And
it's a small thing.
it's a smart, clever
Yeah.
Ghostbusters moment. Absolutely. Let's see. Got a couple of great lines. And a lot of my notes are just little quotes like this. I want to throw out there. I love the Egon way of being like innuendo. Like they're more interested in my epidermis. Like
Yeah.
that's very Egon kind of thing. I want to run some gynecological tests on the mother. Who wouldn't? Great chemistry between the two, as always. We didn't really talk about the slime much, like, but the whole slime felt like so like undercooked to me. Like it just
Well,
like I
no,
don't know
we
what
did.
to
We
make
you
it.
hun and it doesn't connect in the same
Yeah,
way. Like, it
I guess that's why.
yeah, it has the moments, again, the stuff in the, when it starts to pop off, when it's the, courtroom scene is great,
Works right.
but then after that, I don't really care, and I feel like they did it because Slimer became so popular that using more slime just felt like a good way to continue that trend,
And we couldn't
and
have
it
green, so we used pink instead.
no, and I don't like the
Use the
whole
green.
then they have nice slime thing is so silly.
That's what I was about to bring up. I hate like the dancing slime and the toasters. It was a fun sequence because the guys, but the
Yeah.
idea behind it kind of was like, really? That's what we're gonna do? You're making the slime evil, but you can be nice to it and turn it to the good side. Like
Well, and then it makes the "I love you, man.
yeah.
I love you
Love you
too."
too, man.
It's
Love
like, you're
you.
okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds like great. A couple more quick good lines there from Venkman. Oh no, no, no. She cleaned.
Yep, that whole sequence is great.
And
That
my
whole
probably my
sequence is
favorite line is when he goes, "Don't you try all those old cheap moves at me." Oh no, no, no. I have all new cheap moves to try.
all new cheap moves.
That's probably the most Venkman line of Ghostbusters 2. That's probably the most like Venkman of the lines there, for example. Let's see anything else. You know, here's a hot take. Here's a hot take, and I might be drawing a quarter for this. I think I actually like the Bobby Brown song better than the Ray Parker song.
You know what? That's fair.
I don't know
That's
why,
fair.
but I love. I back in the day I sang that song so often. Too hot to handle, too cold to oh the Ghostbusters of the ink. I loved that beat. I was loving it ever since. So I heard that going on, and Bob Brown has a little cameo in there as well about the proton
Yep,
pack.
yep.
I loved it. So that's definitely a hot take. I know that might be for
It is
some,
a
but
hot take, and, it made me cold, but that's okay.
that's fair. That's fair.
That's fair.
And the last line I really like was the mayor when he finally like snapped whatever. He's like, I sat last night talking to Mayor LaGuardia for 4 hours, and he's been dead for 40 years. That's just like that's a smart use of the ghosts again in
Mhm,
Ghostbusters.
mhm.
These are the things. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got though, man. Pretty much all I got. So
Yeah, and now we have to do the thing that I don't necessarily wanna do with this one, because we have to review it or we have to rank it, and it's
yep.
hard because, like, again, I don't necessarily even think it's a bad movie. The stuff that works, I really like, but the problem is I just feel like it's so undercooked comparatively, um, and
I
that
think
makes it really difficult.
I think the weird thing is I've discovered, I think I've always known this, but this film really hit it home, is that there is this layer of when you're trying to rank a film, that there's good, there's bad, and then that in between, there's some movies that are
They just
not
are fine.
good. They're not, but some movies they're not. There's like a different level in there. There's not some movies are not good, but there's some movies you're more forgiving of for
Yeah.
whatever reason. And this is a movie I am forgiving of because I love all the moments. Like I said before, those moments make me forgive this movie more than I would like if I had to score this movie directly, I'd probably give it less than what I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it more because I do love those moments, so I can find that enjoyment in it enough to boost it up a little bit. Whether that's right or not, maybe you don't rank things the same way. Maybe I'm talking
No,
about
no,
the
no.
royal
It's
you.
fair, and I get it because
You know,
I do a lot of the same thing.
so
Oh man,
we
that's
both
gonna be
ranked.
weird. I don't know where we're gonna land on this then.
I don't know either. I don't know. This might be the one we're a little different on, but I ranked. We both ranked the first Ghostbusters to Perfect 11. Absolutely, we had that in mind. So this one, like, it's actually kind of funny because I feel like I'm definitely going to give it a more positive rating than this review would
That yeah,
think.
100%, and that's kinda where I'm at because I feel like I was so hard on it, but again, like, it does make me chuckle. There's some stuff I really like in it. I still love the cast. Um,
I got to write down my rating real quick before you say yours, so we can see how close we
it's
are.
really hard. I am going to go ahead and I only do this because I feel like I have to stay true to so much of what I've said, where I do feel like that it is still like a cheap copy of the original at times. I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
Wow. Okay, we are actually very different
Yeah, I
for
had a
us
feeling.
because I actually really liked it a lot. I gave it an 8.5.
Shit, you went way
I
higher
went
than
way
I would have
higher.
anticipated.
Way higher than that. And it's because I did again, I saw everything wrong with it, but I can't argue the fact that I was sitting there with Kim last night watching it. I LOL laughed out loud
Good.
so many numerous times that like I really love those moments. I you tell me all the stuff that's wrong with it, I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah,
guess
there's a
what?
lot of stuff wrong
I'm
with
not
this.
gonna argue with you. Like, I get it. I
Yeah,
100% get it. Um, damn. I'm not mad about it though.
I'm very forgiving of it. I mean, I can't again, I look at your rating and I totally say it. I
I
totally
still
say
like
it.
it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
still like
mean,
it.
my initial thought before I started actually scoring it, I kind of went 7.5 and I just boosted up as a couple of Venton lines and a couple other lines and maybe laugh
It's
enough.
funny, I
So
almost said 7.5, and then I
eh,
talked myself down because I was like, my words were so I felt like I have to match it in some
I
capacity.
get it. You're not wrong. I mean, I do feel a little guilty about going as high as I do, a little bit. Like, I probably think the film itself is probably closer to a seven, honestly,
Yeah,
7.5. But like, I do like it enough, so I'm gonna stick by it. 8.5 is because I will put this on and be happy to watch it. That's the
love
most
that for you.
telling thing for me. So I can watch this a double feature. I'm okay with it. So, all right, that's does with that. So you have something else you wanted to mention, then, PJ, or
I hope you're all watching Alien Earth because
oh,
Alien Earth turned out to be one of the most joyously,
I
exciting things that I've seen in a while.
didn't
I
actually.
didn't
That's
know if Alien would work on television, and it's freaking good, dude.
It is really good, and I love about it is I will throw it out there. Not that because we're never going to cover the series. We're going to cover Alien Predator as a series one day,
Yeah.
but we're gonna we'll talk about that eventually. We'll get to it. We don't do TV series on here, obviously, but we can talk about it more then for sure. But I will say, after watching the first two, this is one of my favorite things to come out of that franchise, honestly, because what it does for me is it really combines everything I love about all the different aspects of it. Like I'm a
Mhm.
big, huge Prometheus fan. You
Me
know
too.
that. I mean, and yeah, and they don't disavow that too much. I mean, there's some canon things that they kind of disavow as far as timelines go and things of that nature, but the themes are
Are
very
really
much
consistent.
present, are
Yeah.
really heavy and present there. And actually, there's a lot of Blade Runner in there as well. It's got a
Yep.
little bit of both Ridley Scott stuff. So there's definitely some of that Ridley Scott in there, but it also it uses there's a judicious amount of usage of the alien itself. Like when you have the xenomorph come in, it looks great for TV, but they don't overuse it. So when
No.
it does hit, it hits hard.
Yeah, and that was what I appreciated because they did the first 2 episodes up front, and they first 2 episodes kind of feel like a single movie, which I
Right.
thought was really smart. And the first episode is, like, very Xeno light. I mean, I think you only see it in passing, like, twice.
Right. Yep.
And you really don't get any alien action until second half of it, basically,
Right.
which is the second episode. And I really liked that because it really built and really worked. And I'm super excited to see where it goes. Noah Hawley has done a great job taking properties that I didn't think could necessarily work as a like bigger tapestry and made it work, because he also
Right.
did the same thing with Fargo. And I think that his Fargo TV shows, especially those first 2 seasons, are just some of the best television ever.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I've heard. I not watched Fargo, but everybody's told
Oh,
me
dude,
how many good things about it. I should. I
you
know. I
you
know.
need to
I
at
know.
least watch the first 2 seasons.
Right.
Like you can people have their feelings about the last few, but like those first 2 in particular are just so excellent.
Yeah, that's what
Like
I've heard.
yeah, and like they kind of dovetail off each other since the first season is all about Billy Bob Thornton and Martin Freeman, they're the leads.
Hmm.
But the second season follows Patrick Wilson as one of the characters who is in season 1, but it's the younger version of him. And so Patrick
Okay.
Wilson plays him, and Ted Danson's
Gotcha.
in it, and Nick Offerman's in it, and it's like season 2 is bonkers.
Right. 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 That's
Uh,
awesome. I do want to watch. It's one of those things that I will get to eventually.
yeah.
But yeah, I will get to it. But I'm right now. I'm actually very happy to watching Alien Earth at this point. Its new episode comes out tonight as we're
Yep.
recording. I am very into the character. I love the Peter Pan stuff.
Mhm.
Partially, I will admit the Peter Pan stuff for me is because I don't know. I'm not talking about my past life. That's one of the biggest like professional productions I ever. I was Michael in Peter Pan, like when I was
I love
young.
that.
It's where that. So like, I'm big into Peter Pan lore. So I got the book and I got everything else. So anytime you reference Peter Pan, I'm like, oh, cool for me. So having that just is automatically a bonus for me. But it treats it so well and it makes so much sense with the themes they're going with.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is cool. This is cool.
It was so funny because I was a little worried when I started seeing that. I was like, "Oh, please don't tell me this is like Disney synergy shit." Like,
Mm,
not to be mean, but like, but no, it totally makes sense in the confines of the show. And I was like,
right.
"Oh no, he wrote this in. Like, this is
Yeah,
its own thing."
absolutely. 100%. And then of course, Timothy Oliphant.
I mean, come on, Timothy Fantastic. You mean?
Yes, I mean this is one of those guys that will go on history, as far as I'm concerned, as a like missed opportunity. That he should have been just such a big leading man in so many different things. Like, he's already awesome in everything he is. I just feel like he still doesn't get like the respect he really
He
deserves.
and thankfully, if you've ever seen Justified, you just know how good dude is. You
He's
know,
fucking great. He is
because
wonderful.
he's so wonderful, and Justified's fantastic. So, but
100%.
yeah, if you're not watching Alien Earth, check it out. And I say this also with like no wink in the eye, no irony. Dexter Resurrection is also the best thing I'm watching right now. I cannot believe how far Dexter has come. I've been begging you to watch Dexter for so long because I
I
want you to
know.
watch we have a group chat with our buddy Jeff, and we've started calling it Nexter, like New Dexter. And these last 3 seasons of the show, between New Blood, Original Sin, and Resurrection, have been so excellent. I think it's the best the show has ever been.
Mhm.
Because it's kind of finally like uncoupled from its own legacy, and like it's becoming its own thing again. And I love it, and it's so good. And you should do yourself a favor. If you've never watched Dexter, at least watch Original Sin and give it a go, and then decide if you want to get on board with some of the rest of it. Because like, as bad as the original series got in the back end of its run, like when it was good, it was really good. And this is like the show on another level. And I'm having so much fun with this new season with him in New York, and they're doing all this like him chasing other serial killers and him being part of this serial killer group that he doesn't like. They all think he's a different person, and it's so good. And Michael C. Hall is so excellent in it, and like Peter Dinklage, Neil Patrick Harris, Uma Thurman, Kristen Ritter, like, oh my god, dude, David Desmalton, like, it's so good.
I will say
Please,
it's funny you say that because I like you've been pushing it for a while and I wanted to. I just it's one of those things I've kind of felt a little overwhelmed at because there's like so many different like
yeah,
this series, this series. I'm kind of like that's a lot to go through. I mean, I'm stuck in like Star Trek, some stuff I'd never got to, and everything else. There's so many things like that are just a little overwhelming to me. I will get there. I'm sure I will at some point, and like I'm going to surprise you one day and just have watched it all, and then be like, hey, I caught up. No, I was a big discussion about it.
I can't wait. I'm rewatching the original series right now, actually.
Cool.
That's
Cool.
my
Cool. Cool.
workout show now.
That's awesome. Awesome for you. I'm happy for you. We'll get there eventually. So that I'm watching that. And I
That'll
got
do
Peacemaker
it.
coming out, which I'm excited about as well.
Oh, I
Can't wait to see
know.
that, 'cause that's coming out this week. Big
I'm
DCU
very
people. So,
curious because I've been hearing some stuff about how it's like traversing like the previously on.
yeah, I've heard that too. A little bit.
Yeah, and I'm very curious like
So,
how it's all going to come together. So I'm looking forward to that because that it'll very quickly explain the it's not season 2 while
right.
also being season 2.
Right. It's season 2, but not really season 2, but definitely season 2. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it is.
I think
All
with
right.
that,
Um,
y'all know where to find us. We're done. We did the thing. Sorry to all the Ghostbusters fans. I feel like we were harder on Ghostbusters 2 than we should have been, but you have to remember we are also fans.
yeah,
We don't like being mean.
absolutely. Definitely. And we will be back in 2 weeks on the public channel doing Men in Black. First one is our first part. We're veering off the Ghost because we're doing Ghostbusters and Men in Black as one big series. If you didn't know that before, we're not leaving Ghostbusters. We're just kind of temporarily stepping aside for Men in Black 1, 2, and 3. I think we do Men in Black 1, 2, and 3 before jumping back to 2016.
Yeah. We fill in all 3 Men in Black movies before we do anything
Back to
else.
2016, then we go back to and we will do international. So we're gonna do the whole series, the whole Kick and Buddha will end in Frozen Empire at that point. But we're excited about doing that for sure. If you want to jump on our Patreon, like I said, early patreon.com/PLD Projects. Next week we're gonna start back up our MCU rewatch. We are recording Avengers Age of Ultron next week for that. Eventually we will put that on the main channel. But for not for a little bit anyway, not for a little while. So we'll have to see how that goes. But for right now, yeah, we've gotten up to Guardians of the Galaxy done and on the Patreon right now. I'm going to continue that throughout. And yeah, I guess that will do it for me. PJ, you can find you all over your socials.
Yep, you guys can find me wherever social medias are sold at PJ_Campbell. You can find me here hanging out with this gentleman and scholar talking all things movies. Join the Patreon. We're talking the MCU. We're deep into it at this point. So if you want to hear more of us, that's where you can find us.
And you can also like and comment. Let us know what you think about Ghostbusters 2. Are we wrong?
Tell us why we're right, wrong, or otherwise.
Absolutely. Find me our socials there at paul.denuzio.bsky.social, also at paul_denuzio on Twitter. Yeah, I'm all over the channel as well. Like I said, I got the review coming up. That's it's coming back up in September. Holy Snokes will hopefully be back this week. If not, I will let you know. Just going to keep on keeping on. Until then, next week, of course, stay tuned for always. Love you. And yeah.
Bye.